watched it, and just listening to Blake and watching Blake over the last 2-3 years has been absolutely incredible. He's an amazing visionary. What he's doing as far as leading the locker rooms and touching lives of men around the globe is absolutely incredible. And every single time you get up here, Blake, you continue to just make me sit back and go, wow, you have more wisdom than we can ever imagine. In what you do is up here is incredible. What you do in the lives of others, touching young men and older men, is incredible. And I'm just so grateful that I get to walk with you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to bring up my brother, Mr. Blake Goad. And you can say it.
You want me to say it? What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today? Well, we can do a little better than that. How y'all doing today? There we go. Well, it is G5 Leadership, and I am excited. I say this every time, but it feels like leadership was just like last week. It flies. But, you know, as a church, we have so much going on here, so it's constantly got stuff going, and it's really cool. But I'm excited to be back at leadership. Of course, I have to... I got to start out with a joke. I got to tell a joke. I haven't told this joke in a while. It's been a few months, and I wanted to tell it, but it's a funny one. So this guy has to take his mother-in-law in. The mother-in-law is living at the house, and he goes to work one day and comes back, and his mother-in-law is passed out on the floor and doesn't know what's going on. And he calls 911. They come, they take her to the hospital, and he's there waiting. He's pacing back and forth on the hospital floor, just waiting for something to figure out what's going on. And the doctor finally comes out a few hours later and goes, "So I got some good news and I got some bad news for you." And he goes, "Okay, well, give me the bad news." And he goes, "Okay, so your mother's alive, she's good, but she's brain dead. So you're gonna have to take care of her. Every day you gotta have to take her up and take her to the bathroom. You're gonna have to feed her, you're gonna have to bathe her. You're gonna have to basically do everything for her. And she's probably gonna live for another 20 or 30 years. And he goes, "Oh my Lord, that's crazy, that's sad, but at least she's still alive, And he goes, "Well, what's the good news?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just Josh and she died." A lot of you will get that later. But how many of you know the innocence of that doctor to play a prank after a family member dies is pretty crazy, right? But it's so awesome. I almost went with a different joke, but I feel like I'm at church, so I can't tell this joke I was thinking about. And one of my friends will be grateful I didn't tell it. And he knows who he is. But if you want to know what that joke is, come to me later and I'll tell you later, okay? But I'm excited to talk to you today, guys. I'm going to do a little something different. Over the next couple of months, the last probably 5 months, I've really been hitting hard on habits. And, watching the amazing leaders that I've been around with my father and seeing the different people in the world, the habits they have in their lives are amazing. And one of the things that I've noticed is their habits they have in their life also lead into other things they do in their life. They're dreaming, they're visionary. The people that they lead, the habits they have determine everything they do. And a few years ago, I'm a big dreamer. And I get that from my father and my mother. I get that from them. And my dad's a big visionary. And I'm thankful that he's helped me understand how to be a visionary and a dreamer. So what I want to do over the next couple of months is I want to just talk about dreams and visionaries and habits all together. Things that like how they all three coincide. One of the craziest things, and I've talked this, if you haven't heard my talks about habits, I encourage you to go back and listen to it, but one of the things I talked about in habits is the habits you have, people always think they gotta have these big, massive habits and start doing them every single day, but one of the things I found out is the smaller the habit you have, the easier it is to change the bad ones out to a good one. The easier it is to change the habits out. And I've noticed within dreaming and setting dreams and goals for your team, one of the things you can do is, I was amazed at a young age, because I was exposed to so much in a good way. I was shown what was available to us. And at a young age, I didn't realize how blessed I was until I got old enough to understand what was available. And we had a couple of friends that one day I went to I love going to the mall just to look around. And I took a couple of buddies of mine, and I said, guys, let's go in here and just try some stuff on. They're like, can we do that? I was like, yeah, let's go do it. So we walked in, and he tried on a $4,000 suit one day, my buddy did. And he was freaking out because he was like, I don't want to break this. But how many of you know that was a habit in him that goes, I'm not good enough yet to touch that. One of the greatest things you can do is expose yourself to things that you'll be able to get in the future, because once you get there and your self-esteem is not ready for it, you'll never be able to appreciate it. And it was cool, we were set dreams and set goals for him, and he came to a locker room a few months back and he goes, I wanted to tell you something. He said, I got to achieve a goal that you helped me set 6 years ago. And he says, if it wasn't for your father and your family helping me understand I could have it, I would have never tried to achieve it. And he says, thank you for helping me put the habits in my life that helped me understand that I was worthy of having it. That's massive, what I just said there. You are worthy of having what your dreams are. That's huge. You know, when I was younger, I was watching an interview that they were talking about Tiger Woods, and I'm a big golfer. I love golf. And they were talking about what made Tiger so great under pressure. And they were saying that his thing was his opponents were never the people on the golf course. His opponents is who the history of the golf course was, and what would the greatest scorer shot there. And he said, I'm going to show them that I can do it. I remember when I was little, and I saw another interview he did, and he said, I showed up to a golf course one day, and I asked, what is the course record, and where's the first tee? And they said, Tiger, why are you so arrogant? He goes, I'm not arrogant. But he said, my dad trained me to know who I was, that I could be confident enough, but not arrogant to know I can do whatever it took to win. The habits you put in your life today will come out when you are older. And I remember one of the greatest things you can do in creating habits is developing your leadership identity. And I've talked about that before. All these, I believe, are on the app, and I want to encourage you to go back and listen to them. But one of the questions I really love to ask people is, do you know what you want? Do you know what you want? And you hear my parents talk about this all the time. But one of the things you can really help you do is, if you don't know what you want, figure out what you don't want. Because eventually when you figure out what you don't want, you'll get what you want. I love this. You know, visionaries have to have the passion and the motivation to motivate their team to accomplish what they want. You know, I was talking about it. One of the greatest things you can do is making habits small and develop them into big. One of the greatest things that I was thankful for at a young age is my dad always taught me, make your habits obvious. Make your dreams obvious. And I remember I asked him one day, he probably doesn't remember this, but I said, Dad, what do you mean by making it obvious? He goes, I want you to talk about it like you already have it. I was like, okay. Because when you talk about it like you already have it, you'll believe you can want it more. I have so many friends in my life that say, yeah, I think it would be cool to have this. But then 6 months later, I asked him and said, hey, have you gone and looked at that? Or have you talked about it anymore? Or have you looked up where you can get it, or whatever it is you want to do? Have you thought about it? He goes, you know what? I haven't thought about it since I talked to you about it. And they forgot about it. And one of the greatest things I'm thankful for is my family has helped me understand the more you talk about it, the more you'll think about it. And the more you think about it, the more you'll work for it. More clear and defined your vision is, the stronger he and she will fight for it. The more clear and defined your dreams are, the more clear and defined your habits are, the more clear and defined the things you want in life, the more you will fight for it. I love that successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. And I did a whole habits talk about that, and I want you to encourage y'all to go back and listen to it. It was, if I do say so myself, it was pretty good. Just saying. But You rise to the level of your habits and you fall to the level of your systems. The things you have in place in your life. One of the greatest things that I'm so thankful for is my dad has put people in my life that'll come alongside me and go, hey man, let me help you out. Do you see you're doing this? And I'm so thankful because the people that I have in my life, I know my dad trusts. And they come to me and go, hey man, what is your thoughts on this? And here's what I've realized. People ask questions to see what you'll say, but more than anything, they're helping you realize what you're doing and helping you correct it by asking a simple question. There's many times my dad and I'll have a talk and he'll ask me a question and he'll get me to say what I need to do without realizing I'm saying it. And then he'll leave and I'm like, you didn't tell me what you wanted to do. And then I'll call him like 2 hours later and go, hey, did I do it? I'm confused. I'm sorry. I need help. What was I supposed to do? And he was like, see, you're thinking about it. The greatest things you can do is after a conversation, you can think about it and then act on it. There's a difference between thinking about it and acting on it. I remember when I was younger, my mom used to say this all the time and it drove me nuts. And she used to say, the proof's in the pudding. I'm like, Mom, I'm allergic to pudding. I can't eat pudding. Can we change the food, please? I can't eat it. She goes, but the proof is in the pudding. There's a difference between knowing and doing. The habits you have in your life, I remember I talked about this at a conference and other talks I did, but 40% of the things you do in your life are automatically habits you've created and you do it without thinking about it. 40%. It's crazy because I love what Arnold Palmer said, and he simply said, the most rewarding things you do in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done. Some of the greatest leaders in life were told that they can't do it, and they said it motivated them even more. It put a fire under their belt. And I sent it to my dad a couple weeks ago. I watched a video that Jack Nicklaus did, and they said, what made you want to win so many tournaments? He says, it wasn't that I wanted to win so many tournaments. He says, I just wanted to prove the people wrong that told me I couldn't do it. And that'll explain why he's one of the greatest golfers in history. And you're saying, Blake, well, golf is just hitting a white ball around. There's a lot more to sports than you realize. And I'm so thankful to my father that he introduced me to sports at a young age, because sports, without realizing it, teaches you leadership skills you need to develop. Isn't it amazing how things you do in your life, you go and do things with people and you watch. And I'm very observant on people. And I go do things, and I'll ask questions, and I'll watch them do things. And I love getting people on a golf course, because what they do in a golf course, stuff comes out. And I always say this, and I haven't said it a lot, but what you do on a golf course will determine what you do at home. And you're saying, well, that's weird. Because how many of you know when you get relaxed, things slip? I'm not saying I'm trying to catch people doing something wrong. But my dad told me at a young age is when people do consistently, they'll also do inconsistently. Things will slip. And I love telling people this, but it's so true, is because I love more learning from people's mistakes, because it helps me prevent from doing it in my future. The habits. The things that people don't think about doing, I love to ask questions on why they didn't do it or why they did do it. And one of the greatest things you can do in life is find friends that motivate you and have your back in your corner. The friends you have. I remember when I was little, my parents used to tell me the 4 closest friends you have in your life will determine who you become. The 4 closest friends you have in your life. I'm so thankful because in my life, I've had a lot of things go right and a lot of things go wrong. And you're going to say, Blake, what do you mean? When I was born, the doctors told my family I wasn't going to make it. And ever since that day, I've learned how to fight. And you're saying, Blake, why do you have to fight? I've had to fight to overcome things that people don't even know I've had to overcome. And One of the greatest things you can do is when people put you in a box, the greatest thing you can do is get yourself out of that box in your mind. I remember my dad tells the story all the time, but people used to come up to my sister and say, you're an amazing singer, or you're an amazing drummer. And my dad would go, yeah, you can do that, but you're more than a singer and a drummer. And what he was doing is he was getting our minds to go, okay, I'm not just this. I can do this, 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 and this. And he was teaching us how to fight when people put you in situations that you don't need to be in. The greatest things you can do in life are overcome obstacles for other people that they don't know they need you to go overcome. I remember I told my dad this. We were on a flight flying home from a trip, and we were watching Tiger win the Masters in 2019. And one of the greatest things that I realized is that win meant more to the people than it did to Tiger. Because what it proved was that anything is possible. Even if you have struggles, you can overcome anything. No matter what it is, no matter where you are, the things you do. And one of the greatest things I believe is dreamers need the will to win. Dreamers need the will to win. And one of the greatest things you can do is get the habits in your life to help motivate you to overcome those obstacles you think you have in your life. Now, I said this earlier, there's a difference between knowing and doing. The difference between knowing and doing is knowing what you need to do, but doing is getting the people in your life that'll help you accomplish it. That's huge. And what I love is the things that you can do in life. You get people around you that'll help. There's people that'll push you, and there's people that'll pull you. And I want to encourage y'all to get both of those people in your life. There's the people that'll push you are coming alongside of you, saying, you got this. The people that'll pull you has already accomplished it, and they're helping you go, here's what I've done wrong, and here's what I've done right. Here's how you can help win at the next level. And I want to encourage you, there's 5 things that I want to encourage y'all to work on over the next few months, okay? Is place, time, your mood, your moments, and your people. Because there's so many times, my dad talks about this all the time, is when you're going to do ministry, you walk past the ministry you should be doing, and that's the place. The place. There's so many times where I've just simply walked up to the friend and said, hey man, how you doing? And I've just smiled at him, whoever it is. And I'll see them a few weeks later, I don't even know who they are. And they'll come back up to me and go, hey, you smiled at me a couple weeks ago. I was like, I did? You're like, I don't even remember. But the greatest thing you can do is smile and just notice people in the places you are at. The time. How are you spending your time? How are you spending your time? Where are you spending your time? And I was so grateful at a young age. My dad always taught me no matter where you are, you can always encourage and help people. No matter where you are. Some of the funniest instances I've ever seen happen about motivating and loving on people has been in the bathroom. I'll be going to the bathroom and they'll be like, hey man, I know you. How are you? Good to see you. But just doing that, how many of you know impacts their day? Impacts their day. The mood you do it in, your attitude. Attitude is a choice. We used to have a t-shirt here and it says, attitude is a choice. How your outlook on your day determines how the rest of your day is. I have so many people that get up in the morning, and my dad makes a joke all the time, and they always roll out on the wrong side of the bed, you know? And my dad says, I want to drive them home and put them back in bed and tell them to roll out on the right side of the bed. But how many know the outlook on life determines everything? The way you see things and your moments. We had a conference here a few years ago, and the whole conference was about moments. The moments in your life when you don't think people are watching. The moments in your life where you think I just need to be alone, are the greatest times you need to be with people. The moments. And most of all, the people. The people you have in your life, and I know I keep beating this, but the people you have in your life will determine who you become. Who you become. And I'm so grateful for the servant leaders here at G5 because the people we have here are raising the level of leadership and expectation that we have on this place. I love what my dad says, rising tide raises all ships, right? Rising tide raises all ships. And people always say, well, I think when I come to places, I got to have this big, I got to do everything right. One of the greatest accomplishments in people's lives are the little things you do that add up to something big. Little things you do that add up to something big. And I'm so thankful because my parents have helped my sister and I realize that in our own lives. And I'm so thankful. And I love what Thomas and Edison said. It says, many of life's failures are people who realized how close they were. They didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. If I can tell you anything today, don't give up. Keep your dreams and your goals and your habits in front of you. Keep them in front of you. The greatest thing you can do is never look back, but never forget where you came from. Never look back, but never forget where you came from. Because if it wasn't for where you came from, you wouldn't know where you're going. So I'm so grateful and thankful for where I am now. Because if it wasn't for where I am now, I wouldn't appreciate where we're going, right? So without further ado, I am going to bring the man who's helped me with that. And I'm excited for the next couple of leaderships is to dive in more about your dreams and the habits and the vision of how they all come together. I'm so excited because how many of you, all three are important, but they all are so separate, but they're also the same. And it's so cool, and I'm so excited because how many of you know if you already know stuff, it's worth learning it again? I'm learning with y'all. So some of the stuff that I found out, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so good. I needed to know that. I want to tell people. And it's so cool because this man I'm about to bring up has helped me realize that. So will you please help me welcome my amazing father, Tim Goad.
Thanks, buddy. You're so awesome. I'll leave it there. Thanks, Patty. Great job. Will you let Blake know how much you appreciate him? That's incredible. That really is incredible. I love getting him around young emerging leaders because there's just a relatability there that's pretty critical. There's a lot of stuff he said that is very deep. I think you know that. So I would encourage you to take some time and just process through that. Welcome to this taping. I'm so glad you're here. I love having the crowd here. The people that show up is so beautiful. And there's never any pressure on it. We have some massive leaders in the room today, and I just want to tell you how proud I am to have you. I got to tell you, you having your kids remind me of taking Blake. I took him to the front row with me everywhere I went, and nobody think he would sit, and he sat and he listened. And the reason I wanted to train him so early is because I knew I was going to need a lot of help. And so many times in life, it's easy to leave those closest to you behind. And there's nothing, I don't think, more frustrating in the world, you leaders tell me, okay, than to have an opportunity that I'm not ready for. Success is when opportunity and preparedness meets. What happens is when you meet an opportunity that you're not prepared for, you'll destroy the opportunity. You will self-sabotage yourself into believing that what my son said is you don't deserve it or you're not ready for it. You'll either run from the failure of, truthfully, of success or the thought of I don't want to fail. So you always choose a more, less effective path and process for your life. The invitation to lead is pretty amazing. If you want to, write this down, and then I'm going to talk to you today about the most successful things that leaders do, 15 things that they do automatically. Okay? If you lead well, you get to lead yourself. And the area that Blake is talking about in vision and dreams and moods and attitudes, boy, it's just so critical. And you have to be careful as a leader as you grow that you don't get constipated with everything you've learned. Seriously. It's because you'll tend to start overthinking. And so right now, if you have never gone through a gifted test or a spiritual gifted test, I want to encourage you, we will find a time. We just took about, I think, 80 or 90 people through it last Sunday night, and it was amazing to see the conversations. And by the way, if you are a G5 servant leader here, I won't do this for everyone, but if you're a G5 servant leader here, I would love to sit down with you and go over the results, not to embarrass you or pressure you, but just to go, okay, what does that mean? I'll give you an example on spiritual gifting. A lot of ladies walked up to me and said, I have this spiritual gift of pastoring. Well, it doesn't mean you're going to start a church and stand up here and start preaching. That's not what the pastoral gift is. Matter of fact, in business, the greatest leaders in all the world have pastoral anointings. And what it is, it's a nurturing process where you want to bring people in and you want to develop them and protect them as they move. One of the hardest things in your life that you will ever deal with is as you increase in your business and in life is dealing with the relationships that come with that. Providing inspiration, example, and opportunity to people is just so critical. So the more you grow personally, the larger opportunities that will come to you. A lot of times people come to me and go, why do not bigger opportunities come to me? And I'll go, because you're not ready yet. So here's what you'll always find in life, okay? When the student is ready, what does that mean? It means I've finally come to the place in my life where I know I cannot do it on my own. And so leadership is first leading yourself. Then you get the chance to lead your family. The better you lead you, the better you lead those around you. And a lot of times we don't even know how to lead, but the real job of a leader is not only to be a great leader, but to be a great follower. The reason we can be great leaders is because we're great followers. Beware of someone that has to be in control constantly. You know what should really be in control? The system. Now I put my personality, my touch, my talent, my energy into that, what makes it work. Are you with me? Our job as leaders, please hear me very clearly right now, because this is so critical, what I'm about to say, is not to get people to do it my way. It's my job to get them to do it the most effective way they can do it. We frustrate people and slow people down because we don't understand it's according to your personality and giftedness is how you're going to approach something. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't have a process and a system that we follow, but allow the freedom of a personality to be in that. The third is we get to lead others. We get to lead others. I don't think you answer, you can email me, whatever you want to do. I don't think there's anything more frustrating in this world than trying to get other people to do what we're not willing to do. I had a conversation with a young leader today, and he was going, this is what I'm going to do because I make more money when I do this. And I go, do that. I want you to make money, but don't ever lose your edge. Let me put that to you in my world, okay? It's so easy to become the pastor that leaves the green room that walks to the platform. But anytime I stop smelling like sheep, I've already separated people that need me the most. I have to know what you're going through in order to lead you to where you go. Now, listen, there's a shortcut. You know what the shortcut is? It doesn't work. But the shortcut is I don't need to hear all your junk. Let me move on. Now, tell me your junk one time and then let's go on. So every time we get together, let's don't keep going over the same repeated attitude and mindset that creates, watch this, the same circumstance every time. Your life will never change until your thinking changes. And when your thinking changes, it changes everything around you because you now see the world very differently. I was sitting there while Blake was talking and I was thinking about just the people in the room today. If you have any idea what you're going to be doing in the next 5 years, it would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. But you can't keep doing what you've always been doing. And a lot of times, leaders that are really growing are way more intuitive than the leader that is above them. And so you need a voice that can help you. The fourth level of leadership on this is I get to lead other leaders. It's one thing to lead a follower. It's one thing to lead an emerging leader. It's another thing when you get to lead leaders. Now, a lot of leaders believe that you're supposed to centralize everything. But if you're ever going to grow something massive, you have to decentralize. So how do you decentralize? Values and behaviors. Values and behaviors. By the way, if you have a question about any of these things I'm saying, hold it to the end and we will talk about it, okay? So the most successful thing leaders do, that got my attention. What are the most important things as a leader? Can I tell you? There's 100 things leaders do. I only want to bring a spotlight on these right now. So I want you to write this statement down because it is so accurate, it's almost scary. Leadership is a learned behavior. It's a learned response. And it comes out of personal development, professional development. It comes out of your own development as a human being. And what you do is you understand that leadership is a learned behavior and discernment is a huge part of it. A leader knows how to walk into a room and be flexible enough to be authentic and relevant. Authentic and relevant. We have Fam Camp here tonight. They're doing a writing session all week. And Friday they will shoot the video and the album will be recorded here. And it's going to be a blast. And it's amazing what these guys are doing, okay? But all day long, I've been visualizing what will happen in this meeting tonight. And I had my wife text my daughter and say, what are you focusing on? I want to hear. Leadership is about asking questions, not telling. So leadership is a learned behavior that becomes unconscious and automatic over time. By the way, leaders, let's punch pause for a second. One of the ways you will know how effective you are is how much these behaviors are being done and bought into without you telling them to do it. It's called the exchange zone. I ran track when I was a young guy in high school. And the exchange zone is when you're in running a race, a 440 relay. They teach you and you practice over and over and over, handing the baton without having to look for the hand. In your company right now, how's that exchange zone going? Learned behavior. For example, leaders can make several important decisions. Please write that down. Several important decisions about an issue in the time it takes most people to understand the question. Okay, I'm going to say that again because you have no idea how critically important that is to you right now. A leader can make several important decisions about an issue in the time it takes others to understand the question. You have no idea how big this is. You say, why can they do that? I'm glad you asked. Because of clarity and simplicity. Many people wonder how leaders know how to make the best decisions, even most of the time under immense pressure. Immense pressure. How quickly can you make a decision under intense pressure? That is just like so intense right there. Your sales force, how quickly can they make the greatest decisions under immense pressure? And the process of making these decisions come from an accumulation of experience and encounters with multiple different circumstances. If I interviewed you as a leader and asked you over and over again, and I don't want to embarrass my buddy Andy Riddle, but I'm going to embarrass you. How many times a week do you handle the same scenario with the same situation and they're asking the same question? Does it happen a lot? And let me ask you a question. You're a great leader. How frustrating is that? I tell them. I told them. I told them, and then I told them again, and I told them some more. And how many of you know, even with an open book test, hear me right now, some people can still flunk the test. The answers can be in front of them, but they can't see it. So there's such a difference. Please understand me right now. In operating in the wisdom of this world, or the knowledge of this world, and the wisdom of a higher kingdom. It's just so different. Your relationships, your money, processing, solving problems, setting new goals. I mean, right now, I don't know if you know it or not, but we are in a season right now of elevated and like it's moving faster than ever before for great success to come into your life. Whenever there's a situation in the world where everybody else is kind of wondering, this is the moment for us to take your team. But let me ask you a question. I don't want you to get mad at me. My name's PT. I love you. How many of you are making major decisions without checking with someone? Wise is he or she with counselors. Here's the problem with you making decisions, me making decisions. I make them in the limited wisdom that I have. And I can only see a certain solution that normally, if I can get a bigger mindset on it, we can make the challenge smaller. Nobody's trying to control your life, or at least they shouldn't be. They should be trying to free your life so that you can make the greatest decision of your life. So, in your life, the accumulation of this experience and encounters with multiple different circumstances, also with different personality types, and unforeseen failure. I gotta move too fast. But I cannot tell you as a leader how important it is for you to understand the personalities of the people that you're leading. Because if you don't understand it, you will do one size fits all. If I don't understand that you're hesitant, if I don't understand that you're an early buy-in or you're a later buy-in, if I don't understand that some of you have got to see before you believe, if I don't understand that intellectually you have to understand it before you can move. Some of you are moved by dreams and visions and passion. I'm moved big in my life by pictures. I see pictures of what I want to see happening. Even encounters with my wife, I see how I want her to feel before I ever enter the door with her. And I start creating the environment in her mind. I'm not manipulating her. I'm walking with her to help her understand. See, most of us are still trying to figure out who we are. The more you understand and begin to be familiar with the cause and effect of behavioral and circumstance patterns, know the intelligence and the interconnection points of the variables involved in these patterns with you on your team, it allows a leader to be confident in making decisions and projects and the probability of their outcome. Now, let me simplify that statement for you, okay? The more I preempt where we're going if we're making a change, the more you know it and understand it, the quicker you're going to be able to make the decision to go. But leaders got questions. So we've got to be willing to slow down enough to give them. So instinctual decision makers are really incredible. And you hear this term all the time, that the greatest leaders lead with their gut. They just feel it in their gut and they do it. And it's amazing to me to see these guys make decisions. And I want you to know what gut feeling means, okay? Because if you've ever heard somebody say, well, man, I just led by my gut. It's like, yeah, okay, well, I got gas right now. I don't think I'm leading with that, you know. So what is that gut feeling? It's actually evaluated experience. It's evaluated experience. So if you're here right now, you're here because you want to grow as a leader. If you're listening right now, you're growing because you're listening because you want to grow as a leader. And I almost could tell you, you want to learn how to go farther, faster, and get more done in less time. And how do I help people see quickly so they can move? Remember this, as an organization begins to rise, it gets complex. And we have our way, the brand that we have. And the reason it's done that way is because it's so simple and clear. But if you have an intellect that's complicated, you want to complicate everything. You want to put 62 more points on it because that's how your mind processes. That's why in our environment, and I would encourage you all to look at these 6 behaviors we had and things that we say, but we have an extreme point on ask, don't tell. Ask, don't tell. Well, let me tell you how I did it. I know you did it that way, but can you first ask, why are we doing it this way? Because there is a reason for it. Now, there's not a leader listening to me right now that is leading people that would not love for your people to come with an ask, don't tell mindset. Yeah, but let me tell you what and I'm like, ooh, that's going to cost us in the run. Now, does that mean that we are not open to suggestions and ideas? Yeah, it does. We're open to feedback, but it doesn't mean you get your way. It means we're going to stay steady on this. It doesn't mean that there won't come a time when we change it. It's just right now we won't. All right, let's go. You ready? I got to get a lot done. Are y'all okay with that? Yes. Anybody got a question about any of that yet? If you do, write it down. We'll get together with it later. That's really, really deep. If you're looking to advance your career, I just want to tell you these 15 things are so critical for you. Number 1, make others feel free to speak up. What does that mean? I want a leader that's around me to feel free to share their heart, feel free to share their frustration, feel free to share their fear. Now, I don't want them to stay in it. And I'm going to give them instruction and wisdom that will help them move out of it. But many times, watch this, leaders intimidate their colleagues with their title or their power, and they walk all over them when they walk in a room. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to dread the phone call, or you're going to go, it isn't worth it. Are you with me right now? I'm just telling you. Successful leaders deflect attention away from themselves and encourage others to voice their opinion. One of the greatest leadership principles I ever learned in my life was people don't have to have their way, but they do like their way considered. How do you see that being done? And so then we got to be very lovingly, because, you know, if Sammer says to me, well, this is how I see doing it, I'm going, man, that is so awesome. And you know what? We're going to look into that. Or I'm going to say, you know, we tried that, and it didn't work out very well. And so I'm not trying to pour water on you. I just want to let you know, with evaluated experience, we found this to be effective and shorter amount of time to get the job done. So, leaders are experts at making other people feel safe to speak up and confidently share their perspectives and point of view. They use their executive presence to create an approachable environment. Are you with me right now? Have you ever been with a leader and when you left you went, wow, that is the greatest leader I've ever been around? That is a weak leader. When you leave a leader, you should say, wow, I've never had anybody make me believe in myself like they just did. I'm the bad dude. They leave you feeling so empowered, so uplifted, so amazing. I mean, have you ever done this where you just get literally so much information, you're a glutton? And what I continually want leaders to do, especially around here, and I think those of you that are part of G5 know that there is something so special going on in here. And a lot of times we don't even know why it's happening. But it's because of 3 words: honor, order, and authority. It's in a culture. We value one another. If you've ever had a leader get up in front of a crowd and only brag on his own team, you're in trouble. At G5, if I only brag on the parking lot attendant, if I'm the parking lot attendant, if I'm making that happen without bragging on the hosting. So anytime you step up as a leader, your role is not to only evaluate and edify you, it is to honestly evaluate and edify other people around you. Give people the power to speak. Now, I'm not talking about rebellion. I'm not talking about confrontation. I'm not talking about all that, okay? Now, listen to me right now. If you're not looking at growing right now, I'm going to say something so radical. I would encourage you to turn this off and go listen to something else, because this will be irrelevant to you. It won't matter to you. If you're already stuck in your way, do it your way. And when you get in enough pain, you will come and go, can you help me get out of this unstuck situation? But you've got to decide that. People get mad at me because I don't tell leaders what to do. Well, why wouldn't I tell a leader what to do? Because as soon as I tell you what to do, now you can blame me for your outcome. You find out what you want to do, set up and give honor to the people around you. Number 2, make a decision. They make decisions. Successful leaders are experts at decision making. They either facilitate the dialogue to empower their colleagues to reach out, or their teammates to reach a strategic conclusion that they themselves would only think of. They focus on making things happen at all times. If you are a great leader right now, you are focusing on not problems. You are focusing on how do I make something good happen around me? How do I help people reach their better values, better volume, better exposure? How do we reach? I had a leader come to me, and he was doing about $1 million a year. And I sat down with him. Well, he was wondering if he could even do $1 million a year. And I said, bro, you're a $10 million a year company right now with the mindset that you have. And we started working on him and his team. And can I tell you what's so cool? Right now, he's at $50 million this year. When you change the mindset of the people, so you know what's happening with most of the people you're leading? They got distractions and dysfunction they won't tell you about. And if you try to act like it's not important, let me tell you what you do to them. You tell them the only thing you care about them is their production. When you care about the total prosperity of somebody, I'm not talking about spending hours, do you hear me? I wouldn't do that. But you don't have the power. You don't even know the power you have when you just stop and go, hey, tell me about that. Tell me about that. You know, it's that place that Blake's talking about today. Where is that moment where you let somebody feel like it's safe enough for them to talk to you? By the way, if you're a gossiper, you'll never build that moral authority. If you tell people's problems to other people, even in prayer request, it will never make a decision. So I want you to know, every great leader that I know has mastered the art. You're not going to believe I'm telling you this right now, okay? The art of politicking. They've mastered it. What does that mean? If I were you, I'd be like, what the heck does that mean? They understand that everybody has something they want, and they learn how to listen and help them get it, as long as it's not immoral or unethical. Are you with me? Did I mess you up right there? Are you okay? All right? So they know how to make 30 decisions in 30 minutes. I know sometimes my wife, if I'm on the phone with guys that I lead and I talk open to them, I can be pretty short. And they know I'm going to be short. Because you know why? The longer you stay on the phone talking to me, I'm keeping you from making money. Time is money. So I'm going to make it short and fast and go, hey, we'll have a love fest later. Right now, yes, no, yes. Let's go. Now, hey, what are you going to do today to increase everything around you? I love ending conversations with a question that focus people to know what they need to be doing. The third thing is communicate expectations. Clarity. Clarity. Successful leaders are great communicators. Can I ask you a question, just me and you right now? Are you working on your ability to communicate? Communicate. I'm going deep just for a second, so hang in here, okay? The more undealt with emotions that you have, it will make it way harder to talk, because you're still trying to figure it out inside of you. And so God is going to bring somebody into your life that you can trust to say, hey, help me unpack this. Most leaders come in and go, can you help me get past me? Can you help me get past me? Now, I'm a pusher. I'll call guys that are doing incredible. Riddle, I know you're the same way. I'll call them that's doing incredible and go, did you know you could do this? But I'm not doing it in a demeaning, demoralizing way. This is what you have to teach people that watch you do this, because they don't understand that you're not doing it in a manipulative way. You're just helping them to see. Here's what I've noticed. Anytime I get the urge to do that, they've already been thinking about it. And they're amazed that I'm sensitive enough to go, you really need to be thinking about this right now. Okay? So, learn how to communicate performance expectations. Performance expectations. So let me tell you your vision into proper execution for what you want to get accomplished. This is so massive. Matter of fact, most organizations, there is just no clarity in them at all. That's why I work for clarity. If I get done speaking, you don't have to say great job. You don't have to say, all I need you to walk up and say to me, that was clear. I want to be clear. I want to be more and more and more and more and more and more and more clear. Clear. Here's the expectation. And then I'm looking for people. Come on, this is so big. I'm looking for people that will join me and not only think about it the way I think, but they'll feel about it the way I feel. Okay, if you don't understand that, please don't be embarrassed to ask later. Number 4, challenge people to think. The most successful leaders in the world understand that their teammates, their mindsets and capacities, and they also understand their areas where they can improve the most, where you can improve the most. I was talking to a friend of mine today. Matter of fact, he's going to come in and do a locker room with me because he heard a bunch of young men working out together. And when he heard them, he could tell that they weren't planted anywhere. They're drifters. They drift. Now, I don't know if you've ever been a drifter in your life. It means you'll come in, but you never fully buy in. And he was asking me today, why is that? I said, well, you tell me why you think that is. He goes, well, I don't think they know what buy-in means. And I go, yeah, and let me tell you what else. Most of these people, men or women, normally have an issue with their father. And so they don't think they can trust. And so we've got to be able to help them think. If you're not thinking, you're not learning new things. Let me say that one more time. If you're not thinking, you're not learning new things. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. And over time, I don't want to tell you this, but I need to, okay? Over time, you will become irrelevant to the team and to your work. It just won't matter. Now, I just want to punch pause for a second here, because thinking right now is probably one of the greatest challenges if you have a team, because how people think, they behave, and they perform. This is very, very strategic and surgical today, but it's so important for you as a leader to understand this. Number 5, be accountable to others. Successful leaders allow their teammates to help manage the situation. This doesn't mean they're allowing others to control them, but rather they're being accountable to assure they're being proactive to their colleagues' needs. As a leader, one of the greatest harmful things that will happen is when you have somebody on your team that will not become accountable. I'll do whatever I want, however I want. I don't have to answer to anybody. But see, when you love the team, you become accountable to the team. So beyond mentoring and just certain feelings towards certain people, being accountable to others shows that your leadership is focused more on their success and not just your own. This is what we've got to work on, guys. We've got to work on getting the vision from me to we. And then what you'll watch guys do is they'll want to go free, which is fine as long as they have accountability. Okay, are you with me? Number 6, lead by example. Just lead by example. Leading by example sounds easy, but very few leaders are consistent at it. I find leaders, you know what they do right now? This is so critical, what I'm going to tell you. And I probably talk to my son and daughter about this more than any other thing. And I probably, by the end of this week, will have a talk with them again. You cannot teach and not do. You have to teach by doing. So that means I've got to set the pace. And if you're not careful, you get people around you that love you so much and respect you so much that before long, if you're not careful, you'll let them do everything. And I've got to keep my hands to the plow. I've got to be willing to do the things I need to do, even sometimes. Like, for instance, around here, sometimes trash has to be grabbed. And I'll grab the bag and somebody will come, let me take it. I go, no, let me do it. Right now, I need to do this. I need to do it for me. I need to allow the humility of servant come in, because if not, you'll get a bunch of people around you that are your lures to all. Really critical. Number 7, measure and reward performance. Oh my goodness, guys. I just want to ask you right now, how many of you have ever achieved something really amazing and never got noticed for it? And see, here's where this mentality comes from, a leader that does that. They think that's motivating. It's like parents will tell me all the time, well, I don't brag on my kids. I don't encourage my kids because they're going to go out in the real world and they're not going to be able to make it. And if I encourage you. Now, some of us are better at this than others, but I would really encourage you right now, if you measured a performance, reward it with appreciation, acknowledgement, celebration, and edify. Okay, you need me to say those again? Yes. With appreciation, acknowledgement. Appreciation. I am so blown away by how you did that. You blow me away. Acknowledging, man, I really thank you for the extra effort you put into that. Okay? The third thing is celebration. 18, come here. Let's celebrate this big victory. Every week in your company, in your organization, you should be celebrating something or somebody, probably both, okay? So you got to do that. Edify it, edify it. Edifying is not complimenting. Edifying is not complimenting. A compliment is, Mike, I really like you, you're a great guy. Edifying is, Mike, you do this so well. I want other people to build that character in them that you have. It's worth living. Now, anytime you get edified, do you know what you immediately do? You give that edification away. Well, I thank you for that, and I appreciate that, but let me tell you, it's the team around me that is producing this. Anytime you take edification and hold it, if you ever get around a leader that only wants you to edify them, they become a Dead Sea. And no matter how much you edify them and compliment them, by the way, we as people are the same way, it doesn't change anything in their behavior because they don't feel worthy. Are you with me? So we're going to do this. Number 8, provide continuous feedback. Continuous feedback. Hey, how are you doing? How did that feel? Like here, not only, now I realize your companies are different, okay? But I would encourage you to a sales guy, if he makes a sales, ask him, say, hey man, what did you think about this? Watch this. How did that make you feel? Because if you're great at anything, do you know what you want? You want a feeling. You want the feeling of respect. You want the feeling of winning. You want the feeling of honor. You want the feeling, not just the reward. What we don't understand, hey, how many of you agree with me, money matters? Okay? But do you understand the greatest needs in people's life is not money? It's the feeling of I'm winning. I'm winning. So I just want to encourage you. Successful leaders always provide feedback, and they welcome feedback, creating trustworthy relationships with their teammates. Can I tell you around here, I don't know if you come in here and see me ever when somebody comes on this stage and they speak. Almost every time they're done, I come over and hug them. Why am I doing that? I'm validating the value they added. And then let me tell you what else we do. we're going to evaluate how did we do. Can I get clear? Can I get better? And if you're open to constructive coaching, notice I didn't say constructive criticism. I don't believe in it. Because criticizing anybody never made them great. But constructive coaching, when I help you get better at what you do, mentorship is when I help you get better at who you are. And pastoring is helping bring the supernatural into your situation, how you can get just more than enough, just like that. Okay, number 9, properly allocate and deploy talent. Successful leaders keep a talent pool. Oh, I wished I had an hour to stay right here with you. All my life and every day of my life, I'm meeting people and going, hi, how are you? You can shake my hand. All right, hi, how are you? Are you married? Yeah, what's your husband's name? Sammer. Is he sharp? Well, he's sharp, he married you. So here's what I can tell you, right? And I'm going to start building a friend because I don't know when I'm going to need to deploy them into what I do. Okay, are you with me? You have got to get so dad blame great at this. You ladies, if you don't feel comfortable talking to men, going, hey, I want to expand my team, you know what you need to say? I can't wait. If you wouldn't mind, I would love to give your card to my husband. If you're single, just go, I can't wait to give your card to the other teammates, because one of them is going to follow up with you. If you need to build that wall where you don't feel like, hey, I'm trying to come on to you and get a date with you, okay? Now, if you're trying to get a date with them, I'm going to leave that in your corner, okay? I'm not going to weigh in on that. But can I tell you, I don't invite people to church. I invite people to people. So I would meet McGill and go, McGill, I would really love for you to meet my friend Josh. And if I meet somebody in the insurance business, I'm going to say, I really want you to meet my friend. Right? I believe in setting people up to win, but you get the chance. Watch this, and I need your help, okay? I need your help. I know all the servant leaders at G5 is watching this, so I need your help. Our number one habit here is invite. Who can I invite? Everybody. If they're breathing, invite them. If they're not breathing, push on them a couple times, get them jump start, and then invite them, okay? And you have no idea, right now, please hear me right now, you have no idea that the sharpest people that can be on your team that will outperform anybody has ever been on your team right now is praying that somebody will come and see them. So not only do we want people to be high performers, we want them to attract other high performers. Okay, are you good? By the way, there's nothing more important in life than belonging. When you belong, you are powerful. When you belong into an environment. Number 10, ask questions and seek counsel. Boy, great leaders, they just ask the greatest questions and they constantly seek counsel from the outside and the inside. We were just at a hotel and they shut the pool down, and the guys that work at the pool every day at this beach club, the leadership at the hotel never came and interviewed any of them on this one question. Us shutting this pool down and redoing it, how is it going to impact you? Wow. And so my buddy David works there, and he goes, if they would just do this, this, and this would move on. It's amazing how many times the answer is right in front of us, but we don't slow down enough to speed up. If you want to know in your organization the best information you can get, go to the person that's carrying the responsibility of that part. Now, you're responsible to do two things right here. Are you ready? Number one is to check how they're thinking, all right, and validate it. The second thing is maybe adjust the thinking to another level. Okay, are you okay? It's lots of information, I know. Are you okay? You need me to stop, or can you take a few more? Ask questions, seek counsel. Can I ask you a question? How often do you do this? You got a minute? And I mean literally a minute. Hey, I'm thinking about making this decision. Is there something you can see in it that I don't see? Wow. I do this all the time. If I'm getting ready to make a major decision here and a major change, I will call people that it's going to impact the most and say, I'm getting ready to do this. I want to know how you feel about it. And here is how I see doing it. How do you feel about that? Is there anything I do not see? Do you know what I don't like? As a leader, have you ever done something and somebody walked up and went, well, I could have told you that was going to happen. Well, I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know. And I don't care how great of a leader you are, you're going to have blind spots. Number 11, solve problems and avoid procrastination. Solve problems and avoid procrastination. Great leaders tackle issues head on and know how to discover the heart of the matter at hand. I don't know what it is in a leader that sometimes I feel like I can't talk to the people I lead. But I find it to be a great strength to go to someone. Now listen, I also want people around me to know I may be asking questions that I already know the answer to. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I'm trying to see if you and I are in agreement, or maybe you have a little something extra in it that I need. So, as a leader, you have to learn how to tackle issues head on and know how to discover the heart of the matter that's at hand. One of the greatest joys of my life, and I pray you get to do this someday, okay? And that is you get to be somebody that brings people together and brings clarity and saves a relationship because we don't let the issue get greater than the relationship. Are you with me? This is so critical. A lot of people in an organization does not understand that their words and their behaviors have great impact. So if somebody just walks in and starts weighing in on a subject that honestly they don't have any background in, this is the challenge I get into most. They're going, well, I'm going to go tell them something. I'm going, no, hold on a second. You don't know what they already know. You don't already know what they've been told. So right now, let's don't add more insight into it. I had a guy on the phone with me today. I'm being very transparent with you. Great leader. And he looked at me and he goes, I'm so sick and tired of this, where people say, well, I've got a word from God and God told me to tell you this. He goes, how do you fight God told me this? I said, I'm going to tell you exactly how to tell him. Well, that's great he told you that because he told me this. And I don't think he's confused. You hear what I'm saying? I mean, I used to recruit people in a business, and I would go over and they go, oh man, this is so awesome. And then I would show up and they go, well, I was praying and God told me not to do it. I went, no, God didn't do that. You're confused. You may not want to do it, and I respect that, but I don't respect you blaming God for your lack of vision and heart. He is not confused. He is not that flimsy. He is absolutely, and his word is always his way. Anyhow, I left that in there for you. Number 12, positive energy and attitude. Leaders, emerging leaders, I invite you right now to not just show up, but I invite you to bring incredible energy in the room when you come. Sit on the edge of the chair. Try to get in the front row. Try to lean in. I don't care if you've heard this speaker 62 times. The brand new people are coming to see your action and interaction, respect and value to the leader that's in the front of the room. Take notes like you've always taken notes. The other night, we did this gifted test, okay? You know how many times I've taken that cotton picking gifted test? I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it cotton picking. I've taken that test so many times. I've taken tests that cost $10,000. I mean, how many of y'all have in your life, in your companies, taken gifted tests? You've taken them. Guess what? I took it one more time. And you know what? It was really rewarding for me because I had some people that didn't take it. And I needed them to take it because here's why. You give yourself a 1 week where you're really growing and you take that test again and you'll score completely different. It is the most amazing thing that you will ever see because you're growing, you're changing, you're developing. Number 13 is be a great teacher. Be a great teacher because you've mastered the basics. Be a great teacher because you love telling the stories that increase people's lives. By the way, I want to help you in your company develop this in your people. I want to help you do this. You don't have time. Listen, a leader's responsibility is to create tomorrow while they lead the present. I'm going to say that more time to you. A leader's responsibility is to create tomorrow while they lead the present. And the better you're leading the present right now, the more powerful you will be. Number 14, invest in relationships. Leaders do not focus on protecting their domain. Instead, they expand it by investing in mutually beneficial relationships. Are you with me? That's so critical what I just said. Number 15, enjoy responsibility. Man, great leaders love being leaders, not for the sake of power, but for the meaningful, purposeful impact they can create. When you've reached a high level of leadership, it's about your ability to serve others, and this can be accomplished through you genuinely enjoying what you do and loving the people you do it with. One of the greatest joys of my life is coming into a leader's organization and finding out who they love, why they love them, and being able to secure that. Let me tell you how that works so you can understand it even more. My wife and I, we have 2 amazing young adults. And when our children were small, we never went against each other. We were always in complete harmony with each other. Even sometimes when we didn't see eye to eye, we walked hand to hand. And in a company, if you want to start the demise of an organization, just let people be divisive or they start dividing. Divisiveness is so horrible. So I just want you to know, and I want you to hear me as I close, okay? Man, the one thing the enemy of your dream does not want you to do is come together in unity with the people that you love, that you serve, whether it's in your home or whether it's in your company. The more focused you guys are winning, the more powerful you will be. Work on relationships. I was listening. This game happened a while ago when Clemson beat Alabama. Do y'all follow football at all? I follow it only in the championship games. I don't have time, but I love these championship games. And you know what I love about it? I love the coaching strategies as much as the players. But I heard the coach at the end of the game for Clemson when the interviewer asked him, "When did you know you were going to win this game?" Listen to this. He said, "At halftime, because I noticed our players loved each other more than those guys loved each other." Now, what I mean by that, you're still competitive. I'm going to beat your brains in. Okay? And by the way, it's okay to be competitive. All right? Are you okay with that, or no, it's not okay? I want you to be competitive, okay? I want you to cheat at checkers if you have to win. You know what I'm talking? I'm kidding. But what I'm telling you is I want you to be incredibly competitive. But I also want you to love each other enough that you would give your life for one another. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's so critical. I don't know anybody that's ever done anything great that enjoys losing. I can tolerate losing, but I want to win. And I'm playing for the greatest stakes in all the world. And that's the souls of men and women. How great are the stakes you're playing for right now? What are you living for? What are you leading for? What are you pressing into? What matters most in your life? I will promise you, I've been with a lot of people when they leave this planet. And I want to tell you the most important thing in your life is relationships. It just is. And a lot of us just haven't had a lot of training on it. We learn how to get ahead. We learn how to crush other people. We learn how to out-strategize and manipulate. But loving people, and a lot of people don't even believe it's possible. But I'm telling you, you will have growth that no one will understand. You won't even be able to understand it yourself. You right now in the seat that you're in, you can 10x whatever you're doing. Not because you went to a conference and they talked about it. Because you do these things that cause an organization to come together and play as a team, not as a bunch of individuals. There's such a difference between a group and a team. Groups go bowling. Groups go have pizza. Teams, they go out and make a difference in this world, and they win big. I love you. Dream big, guys. Take these 15 things and just work on one or two at a time, but I wanted to give them to you today. Charge.